Good afternoon, Erica.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for inviting me to your classroom.
You, you're so welcome. I'm glad that you like it.
You on the last time we met, you had a homework assignment. Would you like to go over it?
Sure.
Okay.
So you told me to that when I think or something negative or if I get anxious when those things happen, to write down some things that can help those negative thoughts disappear. Okay, so the first thing that I wrote was to think positively because even after horrific events, there's still a lot to be positive about and a lot to be thankful for. So that was the first thing that I wrote down. The second thing that I wrote down is to go help someone in need. Okay, because it's always someone in need, and what better way to help yourself feel better by helping someone who needs you. So that was the second thing that I put. The third thing I put, take a walk or exercise. In that it always clears the mind, body, and soul when you take a nice brisk walk outside, do some sort of physical exercise. It just does a body good.
Okay.
Okay, and then the last thing I put was to call up a friend and catch up with them. Nothing like a nice hello from someone who you haven't spoken to in a while, just to have a good laugh, share old times, and remembering the good stuff.
Okay. You brought up some excellent points. Now, when you were doing your homework assignment, how did
Mhm.
it make you feel?
I felt great doing it because this gave me a reminder of things that I should be doing. And now, after jotting them down, it becomes easier for if as soon as a negative thought comes, one of these comes to mind much faster
Excellent.
after I've jotted them down.
Excellent. Excellent. So you're saying that you have the negative thoughts are still coming,
Right.
but you have something. It jogs your memory back to say, I may need to call somebody
Yes.
or anything else like
Hmm.
that. Have you put it into play yet? Has anything?
Yes.
You have.
Yes, I have.
Excellent,
Hmm.
excellent, excellent.
The call a friend to talk. I have a friend Vicky in Atlanta, and we talk or text maybe about once a year. And so when I called her this time, it hadn't quite been a year, but we still could catch up like it has been, and we made it a point to make sure that we talk far more often and to see each other and be better about doing those things on both ends.
Good,
Yes,
good,
so
good.
that was great. You know, nothing like company or traveling to go see someone. That's always fun. Another thing about the going to help someone in need. Um, but sometimes we may think our situations are bad, but someone else's situation is worse. And so, you know, those who someone's house caught on fire and they needed things, and I have, you know, household things, clothes, shoes, and things like that. That time was much better spent being able to help someone else
Okay,
than to sit there and wallow.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
The last time we met, you discussed about your daughter.
Right.
Have you talked to them about anything about your last session, or gave
Hmm.
them some ideas of what we discussed in your
Hmm.
last session? Would you like to explain if you have?
Sure. Because my oldest daughter, she texted me about 3 or 4 times and talked about how she's suffering from depression.
Okay.
And so I said, well, first thing that you're going to do is stop, and every time something comes up, you're going to think positively. And sometimes I say you, sometimes I say we, because it makes me remember to do that as well.
Okay.
Because things are going to happen, and as young as she is, she hasn't even seen, you know, everything that's going to happen later on.
Mm-hmm.
So the sooner I can get this in for her, the better off she will be
Okay.
for later on in life. So yeah, so the thinking positively. She's already very physically active due to cheerleading. So exercising is already a part of her normal routine. So we really didn't have to uh, do that one. Um, the calling of a friend, I told her to, because she just graduated high school in May, to reconnect with some of her high school friends who have gone off and see them because they said that they will always be friends and always love each other. And although she started college um, and lives in the dorm and has made new friends, it's still nothing like those former childhood friends. Nothing like it. So that's what I told her to do with those.
Okay. Now,
Mm-hmm.
since she's off in school now, have you um thought about for her to go to the school to see if they have anyone else in the professional realm that she can talk to?
Yes, in student services, there is a mental health professional who is to be able to help students to rebound from situations such as this, and to be able to talk with instructors of when she had to miss days and miss class periods due to attending to this. And so I did tell her to go over there and speak with them and see how they could help her in that aspect, and see if she could come over routinely until the semester is over, and even when the semester is over, because when it's time for her to come back, we still don't know what state of mind she'll be in then.
Right,
And I just rather continue it probably for the duration of her being there, since it still won't be the same.
right, right,
Yes.
right, right,
Hmm.
right. That's excellent for her to do that because she will have somebody else just in case she cannot get in contact with you. And that can
Right.
be a second person, and that may be something that she can add to her list as a backup person that
Absolutely.
she can talk to if that feels fine
Right.
with you. Now, how
Yes.
about your youngest daughter?
Okay, so she, on the other hand, I think she sees it a little bit differently. It's like she's still somewhat in denial about it, and maybe because we don't live there anymore, and so she didn't see a lot of things that the other daughter saw. So, um, she never says about suffering from depression about it, or she never says I'm sad about it, and deep down she might be the type to cry in the dark, but just won't come out and say anything. But I still do suggest these things to her, because just because I don't see these signs right now does not mean they're not going to manifest. And so um, I suggest the thinking positively, um, taking a walk, calling a friend. If she knows someone in help, in which her heart is good, it's gold anyway. If she sees somebody and they need something, she give them her right shoulder, you
Okay.
know, to be able to help others. But um, I guess she hers may be prolonged, and when it really does finally hit her, right, then the bottom really may drop. Yes.
So it seems like to me that with the steps that you've taken,
Mhm.
you're actually doing it with your kids too.
Yes,
It's helping somebody else in need because they're
absolutely.
in need too, and
Hmm.
it's helping yourself.
Right.
Now, how can you put these situations in your work situation?
Okay, so because I have students, who have lost things and people, or for some reason feel a void, need a void filler for whatever is absent in them. And so just as they reach out and help me, or will reach out and help a classmate, I'll send them down to kindergarten to another grade level, so that they can see themselves as being once that kindergartner who might have had those same feelings and issues, or to a second grader or third grader that may be struggling with things as well, and so that that person can be seen as an overcomer
Okay.
and not as a victim,
Mhm.
but a victor, because they still continue to go on and don't allow defeat to overtake their lives.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
Yes.
Um, how um, that's excellent that you see that and you can
Hmm.
take that your personal experience
Hmm.
and share it with your kids without letting them know exactly what's going on
Hmm.
with you, but you're still
Right.
helping others.
Absolutely.
And with your profession,
Hmm.
you help others
Anyway.
every day because you're
Right.
helping them with their education.
And I can say things that I say to them now. I really wasn't saying before. Like I'll tell them, be good when you go home. I tell them that now. I really wasn't saying it before because I would expect them to be, but now
Mm-hmm.
I tell them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Be good to your parents. I don't care what. And then I also tell them that um, in their young lives, and they got long lives to live, and if they want to live those long lives, the only tears their parents should have to cry about them should be tears of joy. Don't make your mama cry tears of sadness,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a whole separate set of emotions
Okay.
that you won't be able to handle because you won't know the outcome of her tears of sadness.
Okay.
And so you make sure your parents cry tears of joy about you.
Oh, okay. It's excellent. You really instilling positivity
Mm-hmm.
in your students and telling them to be great and be
Absolutely.
grateful
Absolutely.
for the little things.
Correct.
Um,
And that's a lifelong skill. And particularly if they become parents one day, then they can put that into their children. No parent wants to waste their time crying over sadness
right.
of their children.
See, it seems like your profession is really has grown.
It has.
Since
I'm
this
completely different.
since this situation is
Completely.
since
Yes.
the situation has happened.
I'm completely changed.
That's excellent.
Yes. And
Excellent.
I don't even view um, death as a closure because I see anything like when a student leaves, that's a separation.
Okay.
If parents are divorcing, that's a situation. If a parent has been removed out of the home, that's a separation. So any of those things are traumatic for children.
Right.
Where they are separated from the natural parents who they've seen and been with all this time, and for a period of time, or for the rest of their lives, they won't interact with anymore. That's traumatic for children, and no, they can't handle that, and there's nothing that they can physically do about it to stop it. But they still have to remember, regardless, you be this, you be that, you do what's right, and you still make sure that your parents cry tears of joy for you.
Excellent.
Because
Excellent.
we want you to leave them in a happy state and whatever.
And it
Yes.
seems like after you're telling your students this, it makes them view life differently.
Completely.
They may not show it to you now, but they may, when they get older, they'll think about
right.
Mrs. Carver taught me
right. They
the
will.
certain things, and I'm going forth with this in my life.
And I've noticed if I sit down and kind of just do my head like this, they say, "Oh no, wait, Miss Carver not feeling good. Y'all wait, y'all stop. Everybody sit down." They stop, they pause, so they respect the fact of knowing when I need a minute.
Okay.
Just like I respect the fact of knowing when they need a minute.
So the care, you're the caregiver,
exactly.
is being taken care of by their children.
Absolutely.
Okay, the caretaker. Okay,
yes.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Now, how does that make you feel when your children show you the care that you give them?
That we can conquer the world, because in society today where children are taught not to be loving, not to be caring, to hate one another, talk about this one, put that one down, and fight each other, we're not going to act that way. So that we can conquer the world together. We can.
You can. What is the age group of your youth?
9 and 10.
9 or 10.
Yes. Okay. So they're at that age where it is most important. For them to learn, because they're closer to seeing the world than say like your 4 and 5 year olds. Yes. They're really much closer to seeing the world and some big things.
So that change in their life,
absolutely,
going from
right.
a little child to
yes.
to this new
mature yes.
to almost teenage years.
Absolutely.
Yes. To where their mind is growing, and there's a good time to plant those seeds.
And their understanding has truly been broadened.
Yes. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So,
and I can say this too. When I came back and I told them, because they were like, "Well, what happened, Miss Carter? What happened?" So when I came back and explained, well, I had death. My husband and children's father passed away, and I had to go and be there for them and do the funeral and the burial and things like that. They were like, "Oh, you mean that happened? That happened to you?" Like they didn't believe things like that happened in my life too. That only traumatic things happen in their lives. And I said, "No," I said, "and let me tell you something. You're the best your parents have. My although he was my children's parent, he was still someone's son, and his parents could not when they came with the hearse, there was nothing they could do." I said, "So somebody has buried a child." And no parent ever plans to bury their child before them. And they just, "Oh, we're going to give you a hug. We're going to give you a hug." Yes.
So it seems like your kids really had you on as a superhero to them. But you brought them to reality that I'm human.
I'm human.
Just like
exactly.
And it's good that they really, really respect you.
That's right.
And they and they honor you as a teacher, and they
Mm-hmm.
love you
Right.
because for them to show that, and they were concerned
Yes.
to ask
Absolutely.
what was going on with you.
Yes.
That is good. That
Yes.
is
So
good.
before I finish this year, I'm going to ensure that they all have these four things. And if they can't call me, they can email because I get emails from them now. I got emails from them while I was out.
Oh,
We miss
wonderful.
you. Are you coming back? Please hurry. And we
Mhm.
love you and all those things. And I came back, just oh, we're so glad to see you. And it made me feel really good.
So it seems like technology in the classroom is really working.
I promise it was the best ever to hear from them while I was gone.
Good,
Yes.
good. Well, thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Until we meet again.
Until we meet again.